Welcome to the explainer. We're always told to go big or go home, right? Well, today we're diving into a book that flips that idea on its head. Atomic Habits by James Clear. We're going to explore how the tiniest changes, the ones you can barely even see, are actually the secret to totally transforming your life. So, to really get to the heart of this, we've got to start at the beginning. And surprisingly, the story of tiny habits, well, it doesn't start with a tiny change at all. It starts with a single, violent moment that nearly ended the author's life. Yeah, he has no memory of the actual hit. Just imagine that for a second. 1 minute you're on a baseball field, and the next, you're waking up in a hospital. He had a crushed nose, a fractured skull, and his brain was swelling so badly that, doctors were literally fighting to save his life. And his recovery, man, it was no miracle. It was a slow, grinding journey. Look at this timeline. It took years just to get from being in a coma to starting fresh at university. But it was on that long, tough road back that he stumbled upon the fundamental truth of his entire book. That real lasting change, it's not about giant leaps. It's all about those small, consistent steps you take every single day. Right. And that whole experience of rebuilding his life, one tiny piece at a time, that's what led him straight to the core idea of Atomic Habits. And it's this: the almost unbelievable power of just getting 1% better. Now, he didn't just pull this out of thin air. He was inspired by a concept with a kind of fancy name, the aggregation of marginal gains. But the idea itself, it's super simple. You take a big goal, you break it down into all its tiny little parts, and then you just try to improve each of those parts by 1%. And here's the kicker. The combined effect isn't just a little bit better. It's totally transformative. And the best example of this in action, you've got to look at the British cycling team. For nearly a century, these guys were, well, they were nobody, a complete non-factor in the sport. But then, this new performance director came in and started applying the 1% rule to everything. And I mean everything. They redesigned the bike seats for a bit more comfort. They tested different massage gels for slightly faster muscle recovery. They even, and this is my favorite, they painted the inside of their team truck white, just so they could spot tiny specks of dust that might affect the bike's mechanics. Seriously, nothing was too small to improve. And the results? Oh, they were absolutely staggering. All those tiny, almost obsessive 1% improvements started to add up. They started to compound. Within just 5 years, the team was dominating the sport. And over the next decade, as you can see, they had one of the most successful runs in the entire history of cycling. All of it built on those tiny marginal gains. Okay, so a cycling team is one thing, but how do we apply this to our own lives, right? Well, that's where Clear gives us a super simple, super practical framework. He calls it the 4 laws of behavior change. It's a really elegant system. To build a good habit, you just follow these 4 laws. And if you want to break a bad habit, you just flip them upside down. You make it invisible, unattractive, difficult, and unsatisfying. Pretty simple, right? Okay, so let's break down each one. Okay, so law number 1 is make it obvious. And a fascinating example of this comes from the Japanese train system, which is, one of the best on the planet. They use this technique called pointing and calling. The operators don't just glance at a signal, they physically point at it and call out its status aloud. It seems a little strange, but what it does is brilliant. It forces a subconscious check into a conscious, deliberate action. And the result? They reduce errors by a massive 85%. Next up, law number 2, make it attractive. And a great little hack for this is something called temptation bundling. Here's how it works. You take something you need to do, and you pair it with something you want to do. So let's say you love your morning coffee, but you dread answering emails. You bundle them. You make a new rule for yourself. I'm only allowed to drink my awesome morning coffee while I'm clearing out my inbox. See what you did there? You just made a dreaded task way more attractive. Okay, law number 3. Make it easy. This one is a game changer, and it's all about what he calls the 2-minute rule. The idea is to make a new habit so easy that you just can't say no. Forget about do 30 minutes of yoga. Your new habit is take out the yoga mat. That's it. It takes less than 2 minutes. Because the goal, especially at the beginning, isn't to master the habit. The goal is to master the art of just showing up. And that brings us to the 4th and final law. Make it satisfying. Look, our brains are wired for right now. We want instant gratification. The problem is, a lot of good habits, like saving money or going to the gym, the reward is way off in the future. So the trick is to find a way to give your brain a little hit of satisfaction right now. You need an immediate reward, some small signal of success to tell your brain, hey, that was good. Let's do that again. Now, all of these laws are really powerful tools, but they all build up to what is, for me, the most profound idea in this entire book. And it's this: real, lasting change. It isn't about what you do. It's about who you believe you are. Think about it. Most of us, when we set a goal, we make it about the outcome, right? Like, I want to run a marathon. All the focus is on that single event, that one finish line. But Clear argues we need to flip that completely on its head. The goal isn't to run a marathon. The goal is to become a runner. It's a huge shift, isn't it? You're moving the focus from a temporary goal to a permanent part of your identity. And this quote just nails it. The goal is not to read a book. The goal is to become a reader. It's not about doing one workout. It's about becoming the kind of person who never misses a workout. And here's the really powerful part. Every single action you take is like casting a vote for the type of person you want to become. And the process for this is so beautifully simple. It's just 2 steps. First, you decide the type of person you want to be. Then, step 2, you prove it to yourself with small wins, with those tiny 1% changes. Every time you lace up your shoes and go for a jog, even a short one, you're casting another vote that says, yep, I am a runner. Okay, which brings us to the final and maybe the most important piece of the puzzle. How do you put all this into action right now? Because that very next tiny step you take, it matters more than you think, all because of one powerful force: compounding. This is the real magic behind atomic habits. See, small changes don't just add up, they compound. If you get just 1% better every single day for a year, you don't end up 365% better. No way. The math of compounding means you end up nearly 38 times better. It's incredible. The results always start slow. You might not even notice them, but man, do they finish big. So, that really leaves us with just one final question for you. Forget about the grand plan, forget about the finish line, just think about right now, today. What is one tiny 2-minute change you can make to cast a single vote for the person you truly want to become?